Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair now recognizes the Honourable Member from Warwick South Central, Constituency 26, MP Mark Bean, the Leader of the Opposition. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon to you and honourable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that the media is listening intently now because the opposition leader is on his feet on another potentially contentious topic. So I'm going to be very careful in what I say, lest 3-4 words that I do say become the front page news for the next week and be used as a means of deflection from the 16-17 months of poor governance by the One Bermuda Alliance government. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion on the question of morality. I know the former member, the Honourable Learned Member who just took his seat, made a distinction between the morality and the legality. But if you were to refer to the report, it's a moral question, not a legal question that we're speaking of. Now, I've said it before, Mr. Speaker, the only title that we demand of one another, that you demand of us when addressing one another, is the title honorable. Correct, Mr. Speaker? Honorable is the only criteria that we demand to be called and to be addressed as when we sit in this house. Honorable means honesty. Now, I've already been politically crucified or attempted for being honest. And today, again, I will be honest because in front of my name says Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who like to play this theatrical game up in this honorable chamber. But Lord knows I am not about theater. So we're going to have a brief and frank discussion on honor and morality. And in so doing, Mr. Speaker, in so doing, I will refer to myself. Yes. Myself. Now, for the media out there, let me say this very slowly. In referring to myself, I am not saying that I actually did these actions, because I know how that will be put on the front page too. But in order to have a degree of respect in this honorable chamber, it's best for me to refer to myself as an example or analogy, Mr. Speaker. The first thing I noticed, one or two members of this committee, one member in particular, has been disciplined by yourself, Mr. Speaker, which is your prerogative, for it's been revealed yesterday on the radio wiretapping a member in this honorable precincts of the House. Wiretap or entrapment, Mr. Speaker. Now, that was a person who actually was part author of this report. Now, we're talking about hypocrisy? That's the first thing that people should know. But, Mr. Speaker, let me go and get a little deeper into the whole essence, because you know Spain's playing Netherlands right now. Well, Mr. Speaker, what if it's about morality, if it's about honor, what if I, Mark Bean, had employees imprisoned for drug smuggling on my property? Right? What if I, Mark Bean, was an elder of my community church, but got kicked out for stealing from the church while committing adultery on my wife? What if I, Mark Bean, was that person who had that type of behavior? Stealing from the church and committing adultery on my wife. What if I, Mark Bean, ended up in hospital, beaten, not from walking on the railway trail with my dog, but actually from committing adultery with my neighbor's wife? Mark Bean, you know, nobody else. What if I, Mark Bean, after canvassing under one party banner and being elected, defrauded my constituents only after being rejected for the third time in an internal leadership contest, Mr. Speaker? Because we are speaking about honor and morality. What if I, Mark Bean, as a sitting minister of government, a sitting minister of government, sought to give one of my political cronies an $8,000 a month consultant job in government 1 week after that crony was fired from a private sector job for sexual assault of a young man and pedophilia? What if I, Mark Bean, did that, Mr. Speaker? I ask all these questions, Mr. Speaker, and for the response I will yield. I will yield to the Honorable Member of Parliament from 33 who led off this motion. The Honorable Member from 33 to answer those questions. Based on those 4 or 5 what-ifs, I, Mark Bean, did A, B, C, D, or E. What is this the character, I asked the Honorable Member who brought this motion, of a person who should sit in this Honorable House? And what is the measure that one can take to determine or expose those character flaws? Mr. Speaker, if this was two-stick, I would drop my mic.
I now call on the member responsible for the motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I want to thank members for a healthy debate today. We have had a lot said, and most of it very positive, some of it not. When I was starting and when I was concluding, I said the debate today is not about drugs. It's about leadership. And what we saw here at one point was an example of failed, poor leadership. You saw what it looks like. You saw what it looks like. And I feel sorry for anyone who continues to support that failed leadership. It was obvious. We cannot have that. I welcome the move to the intent to move forward on this and have MPs showing Bermuda that we don't believe that taking illicit drugs is correct for us. That's what we're doing here. And all along it's been said that it will only be symbolic. Well then let's give the signal. Let's be symbolic. Yeah. Between tonight and the implementation, there's still much work to be done. And I believe that we can and should move on it as quickly as possible. Mr. Speaker, I believe that I would be doing myself and my family and people who trust me and believe in me a disservice if I did not respond to comments made earlier by the example of failed leadership. First of all, it was said that I wanted to pay my crony $8,000 a month. Let me tell you who that crony was. That crony goes by the name of Anthony Santucci, chairman of the Progressive Labor Party. When I was running for leader against Paula Cox, I asked him with my colleagues if he would do certain things. He said yes, he would do them. He never did them. He never did them. He lied to me. He treated me unfairly. Yet, when he lost his job for some bad behavior, because he was chairman of Carter, he had stuff he could give us. He had knowledge that we could use. And so I contacted him personally and asked him if he would like to help us. He said yes. I had him there and talk to my PS. Over a 7-month period at a cost of $8,000 a month, in a 5-month period, $40,000 was to be spent for him to develop 5 bills. Now, the minister responsible for tourism and transport today should know that only 3 of those bills have come to the House so far. There are 2 bills that still haven't made it here that he would have completed because of his knowledge. So if you want to hire him for $8,000 a month, if he's available, I suggest you do it. But the whole thing blew up in my face because I was being stabbed in the back. That's what that was. It went on for about a month in July of 2011, and it was ugly. It even got to the point where the cabinet secretary went public with a statement against me. You remember that, Mr. Speaker. It is very unusual for politicians to be spoken against or about by civil servants. The Cabinet Secretary issued a statement against me. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So that's the first one. Why would I do Sentusi a favor if he never helped me? Why would I? Because foolishly you might say, I believed in Bermuda. I wanted to do what was best for Bermuda, which has always been where I was from. Mr. Speaker, I stole money from my church and was kicked out. Can you believe that? Can you believe such a thing? Can you believe such a thing? And, you know, nothing like that ever happened. Nothing like that would have happened. Was I ever kicked out of a church? No, I was never kicked out of any church. But we sit here and hide behind the parliamentary privilege and stand up and lie about people. Now, Mr. Speaker, I have listened in the last 18 months to all sorts of claims against the OBA that the leader of the PLP has made. Sometimes my mouth falls open, and I'm trying to decide whether it's the truth or not the truth. After today, I know. After today, I know. I had to sit here and be lied about by that individual. It wasn't called for. My job today was to bring a motion, and I did that. To find myself under personal attack because I brought a motion that you didn't like are nonsense. I was beaten up down the tracks. Mr. Speaker, I was never beaten up down by any tracks. I fell down, hit my head, had to scramble up to Morgan's Point to one of the houses where I was helped and I went to the hospital. No one beat me at any time. But Mr. Speaker, what would people think? What would people think if they said Terry Lister took bribes as a minister? What would they say about that? I've heard that. What would people say if Terry Lister was seen regularly going into Maxi Bar, buying a Guinness, putting it between his legs, drinking it and driving off, driving, when in fact we were trying to stop
Point
it?
of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker. Mr.
Yes.
Speaker.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a point of order a few minutes ago because obviously something that I contributed during a debate that the honorable member brought has really struck a chord. But you will note, Mr. Speaker, never once did I accuse the honorable member of anything. I said, what if I, Mark Bean, did A, B, and C? And if I did it, is that the credibility to be in this house? And I asked the honorable member to say yes or no.
I thank you.
Who the cap fits.
Thank you. You've cleared what you said.
Go ahead, sit down, sit down.
You've cleared what you said.
Mr. Speaker, what if I, Terry Lister, went down in back of JB's every week and regularly bought my marijuana in front of everybody? What if people said something like that? But no. Let me assure you that Terry Lister doesn't buy marijuana in back of Maxi Mart. Let me assure you that Terry Lister doesn't go to Maxi Mart and buy anything and put it between his legs and drink it while he's driving. Let me assure you that the conduct that I expect of myself is the conduct that you see. But Mr. Speaker, let me just end this way. We have a motion in front of us. We're going to deal with it tonight, and I expect people to do the right thing in terms of leadership for this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.